This video will demonstrate a reenactment of Tony Visconti's snare sound on the album Low by David Bowie. The module that Visconti famously used on these recordings was an Eventide H910 harmonizer. However, due to these now being considered rare and also very expensive to acquire, I instead chose to use an Eventide H3000 DAC Ultra harmonizer for real-time, low-latency hardware approach, as well as comparing this with an Eventide H910 emulation plugin and Process Stop plugin Pitch 2 as a modern reference. Now I'm going to split this video into two comparisons. The first comparison will discuss the importance of monitoring the effect in real time and how this affects the performance. Comparison 2 will discuss the sonic difference between the H3000 and the H910 software emulation. Visconti stresses the importance of the drummer hearing the effect in real time and how they're able to play the harmonizer like it was an instrument. So therefore, I thought I'd give this a go in my attempt, and this first clip is the drummer in the studio hearing the H3000 harmonizer in real time. Now, it's worth mentioning that the drummer had been playing with the effect in his ears for around 45 minutes to an hour before this recording took place. This was whilst I was adjusting the settings and getting the effect just right. And so therefore, when he came to do this recording, he'd already begun to master the art of playing the harmonizer as an instrument. Now, in the next recording, I decided to take out the effect from his monitors and see how this would affect the way he played. After the tracking had finished, I played back the two recordings that we'd done with the drummer in the control room and asked him for his feedback. And the first thing that he said is that he would not have played this particular fill if he'd heard the effect in his monitors. He also said that the effect subconsciously forced him to play less and simplify his rhythm and his fills. This comparison helps to back up Visconti's claim that hearing the effect in real time was an important and salient feature of the Visconti snare technique, and it would be hard to recreate it without this element. Producers such as Tony Platt, who used the H910 extensively throughout their career, say that other tuning devices do not quite have the same sound that the H910 has. And part of this sound is the harmonic distortion that is created through the components within the analog circuitry of the module. A really important effect that has to be emulated within a plugin is the glitchiness that the H910 had. This is because the clocks were not stable and it created a randomness in the sound, which is really important for the H910, and later models are known for not having this so significantly. Now, the first example I'm going to show is the H910 preset on the H3000 DSC in the studio. I patched this in using Aux 1 on the mixing desk and then routed this back onto the mixing desk to mix it with the dry drums. I found adding a gate before the snare hit the effect created a more realistic sounding result and sounded more like Visconti's final recording. I set the pitch shift on the H3000 to 1 semitone down, the delay to 15 milliseconds and the feedback to around 60%, as similar to Visconti's descriptions. The next example I'm going to show is the H910 emulation software by Eventide, using exactly the same settings as the previous example. Now, this final example will demonstrate a Process Stop plugin called Pitch 2 using very similar settings to that I was using on the H910 and the H3000, and it's clearly audible that this effect is nothing like the H910 that Tony Visconti was using. These three spectrogram results show that a H910 will attenuate the high end slightly, and this creates a more authentic sounding H910 result.